Good morning, Year 7. It's Mrs. Hermes here. Today, I just thought I'd make a little video to explain what we're doing so that you know and that you're aware. So far, what you've learned is that states of matter can exist in 3 different forms. So we have solids, liquids, and gases. Solids, liquids, and gases. Okay? And so these types of matter, these states of matter rather, they actually have different properties. Okay, so if we have a look at solids are the particles in solids are packed very, very tightly together. Okay, and so they cannot move around, and so they have a fixed shape. All right, so they have a fixed shape, and you cannot compress. You cannot compress solids. I'll get you to at some point maybe pause this video, and then also all I want you to do for this lesson is to draw this in your book, and just as you see landscape, so get your book out, have it in landscape like I do, and copy down the notes. So we have solids, they have very tight particles, they have a fixed shape, and they cannot be compressed. Okay, and then when we have a look at liquids, liquids are a bit different, okay, because the properties of matter in liquids is that the particles are spaced out a bit further apart, okay? So they assume the shape of a container. All right? So all this is saying, okay, is that when you do pour water into a glass, okay, the water will actually fill up the glass to assume the shape of the container. All right? And again, with a liquid, you can't compress liquid. All right? You cannot compress liquid. Okay, now gases are a bit different. All right, so gases are, okay, they're wildly apart. Okay, so we can compress gases, okay, and they do assume the shape of the container. Of the container. All right, so I'll get you to write this down in your book. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is, and I'm just going to grab a few different colored pens for this, is changing of state. Okay, so how do we get from a solid to a liquid to a gas? Okay, now I'm going to take as an example for this, I'm going to take water. Okay, so why do I say water? Okay, because water is a very good example because water can actually exist as very easily as a solid, liquid, and gas. All right, come on, look for me. So water. All right, we're going to talk about water, and I want you to keep water in mind. All right, so water. Okay, now we're going to start from the middle here because, as you all know, I've got a bottle of water here. Okay, so water does exist, okay, as a liquid. We mostly experience water as a liquid, but we can actually have it change state. Okay, now if we want to change a liquid from a gas, what do we do? All right, you may already know the answer to this, and so what we do is we evaporate. We evaporate. And to evaporate this, we boil, don't we? Okay, so when an example of this, okay, is when you actually when you boil a kettle of water to make a cup of tea or to make a cup of coffee, okay, you'd put the kettle on, and then towards the end of the kettle boiling the water, you'll notice that there's a lot of steam. Okay, so the reason why there's a lot of steam is because the liquid has reached the boiling point. Okay, and it's actually turned into a gas. All right, and so likewise, we're going to go in this direction now. So we're going to go in a clockwise direction. How do you change a gas from a liquid? And so the answer to this, okay, is condensation. Condensation. All right, so condensation, okay, is the process where, okay, water heats water. Water cools, okay, to form liquid. What I should say here, sorry, is water vapor, okay, because it's water vapor. All right, now, this happens all the time. You probably just don't notice it. So a really good example is in summer, you know how we have those very, very, very hot days, okay? And you leave a bottle of water in the car, and sometimes you'll actually come back to your car. I'll get my bottle here to explain. And you'll notice that there's bubbles on the top, okay? And that you'll notice that it almost looks like your bottle has sweat a bit. What's happened there is that the water's heated up, okay? It's evaporated, turned into a water vapor. Once all the bubbles or particles of the water vapor gather together and they become heavy enough, they cool down, they condensate. All right, okay. Now, how do we get a liquid to a solid? A liquid to a solid, okay? So this is a very straightforward answer. It's called freezing. All right, so what we do here, okay, is we freeze, okay? So we freeze. All right, now, when we freeze water, we get ice, don't we? So freezing water gives you ice. All right. Okay, and then when we go from a solid to a liquid, okay, we melt. Okay, so we melt. So this is called melting. Okay. All right, so I hope it's it's simple enough. Now, there's one more thing that I do want to add here, okay? And I'm just going to get a different colored pen for this one. Actually, no, I'm going to use red. All right, okay. So you can actually get a solid straight into a gas. Now, this is one of those really fun, these fun chemicals that you may have experienced before. We don't actually have this in the lab. And liquid nitrogen acts this way. Okay, so this is sublimation. Sublimation. All right, so hopefully you can see it there. I'll just pull it down a bit. Sublimation. Okay, so sublimation. So this is where solid turns to gas. Okay, so this is called the process. Liquid nitrogen does this. Liquid nitrogen does this. Okay. Oh, sorry, not liquid nitrogen. Dry ice. Dry ice. All right, so dry ice cubes. You can see that the dry ice cubes they're kind of smoking. All right, they go straight from a solid to a gas. All right. Okay, now one more thing that I actually wanted to add here is the process of energy. Okay, so the process of energy. Now, what you'd see here is that when we go from a solid to liquid to a gas, what happens is we have energy increasing. All right, energy increasing. So what I mean is that when you look at the particles at gas compared to particles to a solid, they're very, very excited. Okay, so they're really, really excited. All right, so when we're going from a solid to a liquid to a gas, so this process here, okay, what we're doing is we're increasing energy or adding energy. Okay, because when you compare these particles to these particles, these are very, very excited, whereas these are not very excited. Okay, and so likewise, when we're going back, all right, so when we go from a gas to a solid, all right, what we're doing here is we're decreasing energy. So decreasing energy. All right, so I'm just going to put one that goes that way because they can go both ways. And so energy decreasing. All right, okay. All right, Year 7. Now, I hope that you learnt quite a bit this lesson. That's all I want you to do for this lesson, please. If you could have this in your book and just put a few points about what's happening. All right, so maybe if you wanted to say that to turn solid to liquid, and then you're going to tell me the rest. To turn liquid to gas, dot, dot, dot. To turn, you're going to tell me what I have to do to turn gas to liquid, dot, dot, dot. And then to turn liquid to gas, dot, dot, dot. Tell me what I have to do and give me some real life examples. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed that video. If you did enjoy that video, please let me know so that I can make more for you. Sometimes talking through and just writing as I go is easier for you and I, because it feels like we're back in the classroom. So if you found that this video was easy to follow, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to make more videos for you in future. Bye for now, and I hope to see you soon.